Welcome to how to build an F-14D B1 Bob style. Here we have the fuselage pretty much the way it sits now. We've got the top about 90% detail. The bottom is undergoing its detail phase now. Each aluminum panel you see is actually about 4 thousandths thick steel that they use in a printing process called lithography, so we call it lithoplating. It's very easy to work with. You can cut it with pretty much paper cutter, pair of scissors. Pretty simple stuff. And it takes hammering in detail extremely well. Each panel you see is individually cut out from what we have drawn on the actual airframe itself, and then cut it out and it's attached with some contact adhesive. Here we've got a couple of panels. You can actually see some of the fastener detail. This panel is actually a hinged opening panel on the full scale, and it actually has what they call a Calfax fastener, which is kind of a screw, but it's actually an Allen-headed screw instead. So they pretty much use those exclusively on the entire front of the airplane, just because they were not very prone to vibrating out or breaking. Pretty cool stuff for an airplane that was designed back in the 60s and 70s. You can see there's a lot of panels that haven't been done, notably the ones that are around the gun blister, neck of ducts, places like that. Waiting to save those for last, just because they're the most difficult ones to do. The airplane does have a lot of compound curves, which makes detailing it extremely difficult. So we actually have to make molds of the plug in order to make the aluminum detail sheet to fit. So we're actually doing molds 2 or 3 different times just to get the airplane detailed to look as close to the real thing as we possibly can. Here we've got some more detail showing up on the airplane. You can see where we've got some places drawn on where we need to add some stuff. But there's a lot of little detail that will hopefully show up in the plugs and the molds themselves and on the finished product. That way our customers, when we get ready to market the airplane, will be very pleased and not have to replicate it on each individual airplane they buy. At least that's the plan. We'll see if it actually works out. The airplane right now is about 96 inches long, and we've probably got another 8 to 10 inches to add on to it when we put the exhaust nozzles on. We will be having operating leading edge slats, 4 panel spoilers, hydraulically actuated landing gear, speed brakes, going the whole 9 yards in this airplane. We'll actually have a 100% scale full depth cockpit as well. Hopefully it'll have operating LCD displays in at least one of the prototypes. We'll see. It's a long way until we get that point. Here we've got a wing panel. They're about 50 inches long a piece, plus or minus about 10 inches, probably more like 40 inches in wingspan per panel. It's about a 110 inch wingspan for the airplane. You'll notice we actually have a notch out there in both the root and the tip. That's actually for our leading edge slats, which will be molded separately from the airplane, and there'll actually be an option on the kits on if the owner wants that option or not. Here we've also got the recesses for the spoilers. Chose a different route of doing this from Bob's. Instead of doing it all in one, we thought just doing it individually will work out a little bit better, but we'll see. Everybody has their own ways of doing things. As we come down, here we've got one of the trailing edge flaps, which is already detailed and pretty much about 90% done. The full-scale airplane didn't have a lot of visible fastener detail throughout the entire airframe, just mostly in the high-stress areas and in the access panels for maintenance. It's really the only places you saw detail. So here we have pretty much a smooth surface the entire way, just like the full scale. Down here we've also got one of the solid wood leading edge slats, which we'll be using to make our molds out of. This is yet to be fiberglass. We'll probably put a layer of carbon cloth on it just to help it hold it straight through the entire molding and detailing process, because we really don't want these to warp since they're an integral part of the airplane and the leading edge of the wing. So that's about it for the first video. So if anyone has any specific things they'd like to see, please post up your comments and let us know what you want to see, and we will try our best to work it out for you. So the progress of these videos won't be as quick as Bob's. We've actually got a lot of detailing to do, and there's not a lot to show you really. I can kind of go into depth on how we go about forming some of the panels, which is pretty simple for the most part. when we get to some of the panels with the ducts and the grills and everything, it gets a little bit more detail oriented and time consuming, which I still haven't figured out how I'm going to do most of those. So it'll be a learning process for all. But again, bring up your comments and we'll see you back here in the shop.